Welcome to Playing Above the Line's very first mini-series. I'm Alan, your host, and this episode is one of 10 we're recording with T.R. Miller's legendary football coach, Jamie Riggs. Playing Above the Line is sponsored by Aviso Group, a business consulting and accounting firm focused on preparing clients for the future through innovation and positive growth. This episode is sponsored by Hines Realty. Hines Realty would like to thank you for letting them serve Brewton and the surrounding areas for the last 73 years. They have 8 qualified agents ready to help with any real estate needs you have, from buying and selling residential homes, commercial leasing and sales, property management, and land sales. They're located at 1012 Douglas in Brewton, so feel free to stop by. You can also call 251-867-5453 to speak with one of their agents, or visit www.hinesrealty.com to learn more.
As a football coach, I can tell you that there are a lot of really good things about coaching football, but there's always going to be some things that are difficult. You know, sometimes dealing with parents are difficult. You have other discipline situations that are difficult sometimes. You know, one of the things I hated was sometimes you'd have a senior football player get injured early in the year and he'd be out for the year. You know, there's just some things that are kind of tough. One of the areas that was always difficult for every football coach was girlfriends. Ever since they've been playing football players have had girlfriends. And if they had a really good girlfriend, it was great. But, you know, I don't know whether you know this or not, but there were times that the girlfriends kind of messed them up a little bit.
Yeah, I can imagine. You know, of all the things that a football coach has to deal with, girlfriends was on the radar, but I can't wait to hear kind of how that goes.
I did this after I retired one day, and I'm not real sure what brought this on, but anyway, I wrote this little essay. It's called Girlfriends. Before I start, I have refused to use names to protect the parents, the players, the girlfriends, and most of all, their children. There are a few necessary evils in coaching. No one likes them, but you must deal with them, like homecoming and meeting with parents who are mad because they think their son isn't playing enough. But number one on that list is girlfriends. The very first season they ever played high school football, the football players had girlfriends, and they caused the coach some problems. Every once in a while, I would ask our longtime manager, Zeke Johnson, about one of our players. Zeke, what is wrong with Johnny? Zeke would say, it's that girl. He's got it bad. Now, all coaches are competitors. All I ever wanted was to just feel like we had a chance to win. But there's one hard and fast rule that I learned early in my coaching career, and this is paraphrased. Girlfriends are undefeated. That's right, undefeated. Don't fight battles you have no chance of winning. I knew that if I made a player choose, he's choosing girlfriends over football every time. The best thing I could do is offer him some Dr. Phil advice. Because when the wrong girl gets a hold of him, he doesn't know whether to wipe his watch or wind his butt. In the early 90s, I had a mother come to see me one day. Her son had gotten involved with a girl, and the mother said that they were having relations. The girl's desire was to have his child so she could attach to him permanently. She knows he makes good grades and he's going somewhere one day, and she wants to ride along. The mother said if he didn't quit seeing her, she was going to make him quit football. She wanted me to do something about it. Now, apparently, I was absent the day they covered this in my college coaching class. When I talked to the young man about it, he just looked at me and smiled. My advice to him, your mother's really serious. You're going to need to be really sneaky about seeing her. He must have done better because he finished the season. There was one cheerleader at T.R. Miller in the mid-90s that would pick her a senior football player to date every football season. Unfortunately, it was usually a good player. They couldn't concentrate on anything but her. Their grades went to crap. They couldn't tackle or they couldn't catch a pass. When that player graduated, she got her another senior the next year. Missed him up too, and another one the next year. I told the cheerleader sponsor, if you could get her to go out with someone that wasn't a football player, there might be a cash reward in it for you. She finally graduated herself. I was so happy that Becky and I sent her a graduation gift.
We're taking a quick break to say thank you to Hines Realty for sponsoring this episode of a mini-series. Hines Realty can help with all your real estate needs. Go to www.hinesrealty.com to learn more. Now back to the show.
Had another guy that played for me in the 90s who was a pretty good player, but in preseason practice, he was just awful. I sat him down one day in a fatherly way and said, okay, it's obvious you have a problem. Tell me what it is. He looked at me and said, Coach, her parents have forbid her to go out with me. I'm going nuts. Now, let me say that based on what I knew about him at the time, the decision by the girl's parents was probably good parenting on their part. I saw her parents, and I told them that I understood, but that he was playing like crap, and he was supposed to be one of our best players, and I was really worried about the first game. 3 or 4 days later, he walks in my office and announces proudly, Coach, they're going to let me date her again. I'm ready to play now. He started blowing up runners at linebacker that afternoon. After practice, I met with our coaches and I asked them if they knew the girl's parents. They all said yes. They are true T.R. Miller people, I said. It's one thing to come to the game and cheer, but it takes true fans to sacrifice their daughter for the good of the team. A few years later, we're about to play Andalusia, and they're playing man-to-man pass defense. We put in some great routes to beat that coverage, and our quarterback looked terrific throwing them in practice. We were going to air it up that Friday night, which we pretty much did in the first half, except that our quarterback was awful. He couldn't throw it anywhere close to any of the receivers. We finally ran the ball a bunch in the second half and won the game. The next week, I see his parents, and they say, Coach, you know he had a big fight with his girlfriend on Thursday night last week. I hung my head. I should have known it. You know, that seems like important information you should have told me before the game, I told them. They are back together right now, the dad said. I don't know how long it's going to last. You might better throw it while you can. I had another player who came to me before an away game and said he and his mother were going out of town after the game. My rule was that you rode back with the team unless you were not going back to Bruton. I would then sign them out to their parents. So the mother showed up. I turned him back over to the mother. The band bus zoomed by me a moment later while we were loading up, and I noticed that the mother was driving the band bus and that the boy was sitting with his girlfriend on the bus. He ran a mile every day after practice the next week. Years later, I had a player come to me saying he was going to quit football. His girlfriend said it took up too much of his time, and she wanted to spend more time with him. Let me ask you a question, I said. How many boyfriends has she had before you? He thought for a minute and said, well, probably 4 or 5. I looked at him dead in the eye. How many do you think she's going to have after you? I could see his mind was working overtime. You're going to walk off and quit football, and in a couple of weeks, she's going to cut you loose for some guy in the band, and where will you be? I'm not telling you to get rid of her, but never, ever quit football over a girlfriend. He took my advice, hung in there, and sure enough, about a month later, she found her new boyfriend in the band. I will sign off with this one. We had a big playoff game back in the 90s, and one of our best players was pretty much a mental case, and his girlfriend was a large part of his problem. They had been on and off recently. A couple of days before the game, I met her walking down the hall in between classes. Hey, I said, this is a huge game Friday night, and I really need him to play great. Do you think you could help me out with that? I'm sorry, Coach, she said. I know I've made him nuts lately, but I realize how important this game is to everyone. I'll get him ready. Then she gave me this huge smile and wink. Trust me, Coach, I know just what he needs. He played like an All-American that Friday night.
Coach, I'm speechless. Who knew homecoming and girlfriends were going to be two of the most prevalent obstacles in a coach's career? So, seriously, you do deal with a lot of players getting their heads. So, how do you game plan for girlfriends? I mean, what do you do to kind of get that hurdle behind you?
I've had a little bit of everything. I don't know that you can game plan for them. I would like information. Like I said, especially your quarterback. If your quarterback, cause you could tell, if the quarterback's got a problem with his girlfriend, like it's just. Another thing happened to me one year is that I had a pretty good quarterback and pretty good receiver. We go out there to practice one day, and I know his quarterback won't throw the ball to him. And they were friends, and they won't throw the ball to him. So I called play. He's supposed to throw to this guy. You throw it to him every day. He looks over at him and throws to somebody else. So, we take a water break, and that's when I coach said, "What's happening?" Coach said, "You won't believe this." Said, "He's going out with the quarterback's girlfriend now." And said, "They're mad. He won't throw him the ball." So, somewhere you just have to learn a little psychology to kind of deal with some of those situations that come about. And I'd go up to school sometime, and you just know sometime that this girl, she's a really nice girl, but she's trouble when it comes to football players. I mean, she's going to drive them crazy. And, you walk down the hallway, and you'd see her kind of snuggled up a little bit with your best linebacker or something. You just go, "Oh, my gosh." And I start asking other coach, "She's not going out with him, is she?" And they go, "Coach, I think they started." "Oh, no." This is not good.
Well, I'll tell you, Coach, the success you had in 27 years, and we had homecoming every year, and I'm bound to believe that most of the guys on the football teams had girlfriends, and the fact that you overcame those two obstacles every year after year to have the success you did is amazing.
I would like to say this, in fairness to the girlfriends. Every once in a while, they get a good girlfriend who love football, love the games and stuff like that. Every once in a while, I'd have one, they'd get on to them if they needed to, and I'd go there and say, "Hey, you need to get on to him about this," or something. She said, "Coach, I'll get him straightened out," or something, And so, so you just kind of gotta know your girlfriends there.
A big thank you to Hines Realty for hosting this episode. A staple in the Brewton area for 73 years, Hines Realty has 8 agents ready to help with any real estate needs you have, from buying and selling residential homes, commercial leasing and sales, to property management and land sales. Call 251-867-5453 to speak to an agent today, or visit www.hinesrealty.com to learn more about their services. We hope you enjoyed today's episode, and if you did, be sure to rate, review, and subscribe on iTunes and Spotify. It definitely helps us in the ratings, and it also makes it easier for other folks to find the podcast. And as always, a big thank you to producer and editor Carrie Wolf. Playing Above the Line is sponsored by Avizo Group. If you want to know more about who we are and what we do, you can visit our website at avizogroup.com. That's AVIZO group.com. You can also check us out on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. Thanks for listening.